Well, good morning. I'm Richard Bunch, and I'm the Senior Minister at Unity of Richmond, and I just personally want to welcome you to this service this morning. Our goal and our desire is that when this service is over, you will feel spiritually lifted up, that you will know that you are a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in the human condition. We believe in love, we believe in peace, and we believe in joy. And so thank you for being with us.
Welcome, everyone, and now it's time for our daily word. It's Sunday, September 27th, and the word is faith. With faith, nothing is impossible for me. With gratitude, I use my faith to trust in the good that is always present, even when it has not yet manifested. As I pray with faith, I discern the truth that always endures through even the most difficult circumstances. As I concentrate on harmony and love, all thoughts of lack, limitation, and discord simply dissolve. As I speak with faith, I use positive words to express my belief in myself and others. We are all divine beings. As I act with faith, I access deep, lasting strength and fortitude that help me surmount any challenges. Inspired by my faith, I move forward with confidence. Nothing is impossible for me. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. And that comes from Matthew 17:20. And so now let's say our affirmation together 3 times. With faith, nothing is impossible for me. With faith, nothing is impossible for me. With faith, nothing is impossible for me.
These are the hands, this is the voice to celebrate the goodness of God. I lift up my hands, I lift up my voice to celebrate the goodness of God. So as we wait, our hearts wide open, fill us, we pray, that we may walk in the fullness, the wonder of your grace. These are the the goodness of God. To celebrate the goodness of God. To celebrate the goodness of God.
And thank you. And now let us settle into our morning prayer, saying, thank you, God. Thank you for this opportunity, for this amazing community to once again come together in fellowship, to celebrate the goodness of God that is each and every person expressing God in a unique way. And so in this truth and in this knowingness, we all do what is ours to do in this community and in the world and in our own life. And we know that the goodness, the truth that we come from, shows forth in our thoughts, words, and actions. And for that we are so grateful. Amen. And now we'll join together for the Metropolitan Richmond prayer. We pray for schools and educational institutions of Metropolitan Richmond, for healthy relationships between parents, teachers, and students, for cooperation between superintendents and administrators of public and private schools throughout this metropolitan city. And so it is. And so now is always a great time for opportunities for our community. And the first one is a meditation that will begin this evening. It's a Zoom meditation that I offer. It begins at 6:30 until 7:15. If you're interested, you can email me at easeintomeditation@gmail.com, and I will send you the Zoom link. And next, we have opportunities for yoga. Svarupa Yoga, which is hosted by our own Deborah Woodward, a member of this church, is on Wednesdays from 9:30 to 10:45, or 6:30 in the evening till 7:45. And you can contact Deb by calling her at 804-338-1105. On Wednesdays, we can always join in for a wonderful, lovely meditation with our own Richard Bunch. You can do it through Facebook, and it is on Wednesdays at 6:30. So feel free to join him for a mid-week meditation. We are encouraging everyone to exercise your right to vote early and in person. You can do this at your local registrar's office, and early voting can be done between September 28th and October 31st. If you need transportation, you can contact the church office, and we will help you with that. Also, we will be having registrations here at the church beginning next week. There will be information here, and we are reaching out to community so that we can help people who need to register for voting. And then lastly, in lieu of having to provide on-site hosting and hospitality, we are now providing the women's shelter with meal tickets through the Kroger gift cards. And you can purchase these meals and personal needs for these women. You can offer money for this and contact the church office with your donation. The church office number, of course, is 278-6489. So thank you for your opportunity to share in these opportunities.
Well, thank you, Barbara. And before I forget, I want to thank you for being here this morning. But more importantly, I just want to thank you for your spirit and for the many years in which you have held Unity of Richmond in prayer and in light. So thank you so much, okay? Yeah. I have another announcement I want to share with you this morning. We have a new website. It's called unityrva.org. unityrva.org. Now, I won't guarantee it, but if you go to unityrichmond.org and push that, it should carry you to the new website. If it doesn't, call Tasha. No, call Richard, okay? Anyway, so once in a while it gets a little messed up, and we're working on that. The technology gets more and more complicated, as you know. And so anyway, but we do have a new website. I think you'll like it. The board looked at it. We had upgrades to it, and we have some other things happening with it that will come forth with way of testimonials and the way of a youth program. We're setting up the youth page right now. Right now, we don't have, well, we have the YOUers meeting on a pretty regular basis, but we don't online, but we don't have, obviously, our children here at this time unless they sit with the congregation. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and let me just welcome each and every one of you who are here this morning, and all out in the ethers, out in the energy of the world, out in live streaming land. We welcome you this morning. We thank you for being with us. We know that you and each person here and myself are all connected through spirit, that we are vessels of energy, and we share our energy in our relationships, the energy of love, the energy of understanding, the energy of compassion. So we're really blessed to be together and to be able to come together. This virus does not take away from us our ability to relate, our ability to love, our ability to care, our ability to make a difference. And so thank you for being with us this morning. We do appreciate that. Now we have a few affirmations that I'd like to share together. The first is the first principle that Unity shares, and this is: there is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good. Let's say that together. There is one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good. The second is our mission statement, that we share the good news that God is unconditional love, expressing as the Christ consciousness or the divine consciousness in each person, everybody, everywhere, not just those who are in unity, not just those who are part of a church community, but everywhere, that God is present in each and every person. And we see that coming forth, we see that happening, we see that expressing itself as we move forward together as a world. And then, Unity of Richmond, our vision is that we are transformed lives, transforming the world. Let's say that together. We are transformed lives, transforming the world. And so we are blessed with that vision. It is a big vision, but it's not too big, because we can do it, because we do it person by person, that each life that we have an effect on, each way in which we are each growing and transforming makes a difference in the world, person by person. So as you grow, as you evolve spiritually, what happens is you are literally transforming the world, because we're all connected in that oneness, as you know. So again, thank you for being with us this morning, and we appreciate all that you are. And now we will have So Will I with Heather Oram. Thank you, Heather.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star signal fire of grace. The creation sings your praises so alive. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. Your creation still obeys you so alive. The stars were made to worship so alive. If the mountains bow in reverence so alive. If the oceans roar your greatness so alive. For if everything exists to lift you high, so alive. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. Your creation still obeys you so alive.
Heather, thank you so much. I was listening to you and I was just appreciating how much you've grown as a vocalist and what a great job you do. Thank you so much. Yeah. This morning, I do want to make an announcement. I got two house stories. The first one I'm going to tell during this slide. The next one I'll tell on another slide. But Vicki and I have sold our home. So there, a lot of people know that. The rumor goes around pretty quickly. You tell one person, another person tells another person. And all of a sudden, a lot of people know that. But I thought I'd just announce it to everybody. We're not going anywhere, we're not going anywhere in a very quick period of time. For one, we sold it to somebody who's renting it back to us. So we sold the house, not our home. We'll never sell our home. And I got to tell you the story, though, that Vicki and I have really spent some time in meditation and prayer together and separately over what to do about our house and when to sell it and when it would be available for the market. So we had decided that probably this fall, which is now, we would sell our house. So we were working hard to get it together. And one evening, I was walking our dog, and this fellow stopped, young fellow stopped and said, "Do you know of any houses for sale in the community?" He says, "I want to move to this community." And I said, "Well, I happen to know of one. It's right there. It's mine." He goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're going to list it with a real estate agent in 10 days. And he said, "Well," he looked at the outside. And he said, "You know what? I'd like to look at the inside. Can I do that?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, I won't do it now, but I'll call you." And I thought, okay, fine. So I gave him my phone number, and I thought, well, all right, fine. Probably never hear from him again. And within 2 hours, he called, set an appointment. He came out, looked at the house the next day. He said, "I want somebody to come with me just to give me an overall evaluation of the house, where they think it is, that kind of thing, and some thoughts I might have on it." And so he brought this fellow back, an architect, and they went through the house. That was the second day. He then called Vicki and I and said, "I want to make an offer on your house," which was what we were going to list it for with a real estate agent. No inspection. I'll just take it as is. And I could hardly wait for him to get to the house so I could sign that and not miss this opportunity. But again, we didn't sell our home. We don't know where we're going to move right now. That's why we're renting from him. We're still making that decision. And we're excited about it. Not worried about it. We're excited about it because we know the right and perfect house in the right and perfect community will come to us. We just affirm that. And so today I'm going to be talking about this image and feel your prosperity. And, well, I jumped up there. One, I want to tell you a story about manifesting a house. And this is another one, okay? When Vicki and I were in El Paso, about 2001, our landlord, we were renting for the first few years we were there, our landlord came to us and said, "I'm going to have to increase your rent by 25%. And it was a little cheap, I admit that. But it was a big jump. And so Vicki and I talked about it, and we said, why don't we just look around and see what we can find that would be, if we can find anything better for the price he wants. And so what happened was that I went to a creativity workshop. And this fellow came in from out of town, of course, because I made him an expert. And when he came in, he then sat and he said, "Look, here's what I want you to do. I believe in treasure mapping. Some people do and some don't. But he said, I do. And what I want you to do is, what is something that you want in your life in the next 6 months?" And everybody talked a little bit. And I said, "I'm looking for a house." And then he said, "Draw a picture of the house that you want. And list the attributes." And so I drew this picture. It may not look like a house to you, but it is a house. Now, the thing about it is that on this house, just to give you an idea here, if I can do this. On this house, you can see that's the roof. But what you can't, these are sliding doors on a deck. And these are sliding doors on a deck. And this is the foundation of it. This is a yard, believe it or not. And these are these stairs going way up to the top where you go into the house. It's obviously a modern house, which is unusual for El Paso. Most of them are adobes or either, ranch houses. And so what did I say? They have some trailers out there too. But anyway, they're beautiful trailers. But anyway, and so what we, as we drew this picture, I drew it. And then I listed, here's what we want. We want it to be modern on the inside. We'd like to have a master bedroom on one level. We would like to have a small backyard so I don't have to mow a lot. Fenced in because we had dogs. And we would like to have a great view of the 3 counties and 2 countries that you can see from El Paso. And that was a lot to ask for. The only thing I forgot to ask for was a swimming pool. And I didn't get one, interesting enough. But what happened is that about 3 months after I drew this picture, and I had it in both a copy of my office and I had a copy at home. And Vicki saw it. And about 3 months afterwards, we were looking at ads in the paper and said, modern home for rent or sale. And so we said, that's interesting, modern. And so what we did was we looked it up and we rode by it. It was 518 East University Street, just about 2 blocks from where we lived. And here's what we saw, which is somewhat clear. Let's come to the next picture there, okay? This is kind of what it looked like. Now, you can't see it all, okay, because of the trees there. But let me just say that this is the bottom deck. And above that is a top deck. And it's all windows and glass. And these are the stairs going up, okay? And then there's, as you can see, it's landscaped and prepared to be on the street level. However, when you get to the top, the nice thing is that you do not enter the house this way most of the time. There is a backyard to the house with a back double garage that you drive into, and now you're on the same level as the house. So you don't have to use the steps unless you're really just, glutton for punishment. And so that's what we ended up eventually purchasing and ended up with. And we had drawn a picture of it, and it came true. And what happened is that when we called, we rented it at first. What happened was when we called and talked to the lady, and we gave her our information, she said no dogs are allowed. I said, well, okay, fine. And she said, I was really looking for somebody who's single. I said, I'm not single. That won't work. And I said, well, it doesn't sound like it's the right place for us. And she said, well, tell me a little more about yourself. So I told her we were a minister. I was a minister over at the local church, and just that we lived in El Paso for about 4 years, and that we were looking for a place where we could entertain too. And she said, well, put an application in. So we put an application in. 2 months later, July the 4th, she called up. And she said, are you still interested in my house? And I said, yeah, but I didn't think you were interested in us. And she said, I can't even tell you why, but I've changed my mind. Because I just think you ought to be in this house. And that's how we got that house. So, the story here is that we didn't really have a lot to do with it. I drew a picture. I didn't sit around day in and day out thinking about the house. Meditated and prayed for a while on it, and then I just let it go. Because I didn't know if it was going to come about or not. But it did come about. And I think this is a story that happened to me personally, but also it helped me understand even more the process of demonstration, the process of having a prosperity consciousness, and how to use that consciousness to bring into my life what I needed at the time. And so I just want to share with you this morning that, number one, is that as we look inside of ourselves, we can find the right picture. Now, remember, in the last couple of weeks, I've talked about energy. Now, when you read in prosperity or books on prosperity, even Wayne Dyer used the word substance. Ethers is an early own that would go back to the 1900s. Substance is a word that was used during the 1900s to about 1940. And then energy became the word that has been used since then, because science has grown. And we know and affirm that energy is a source of supply that is unlimited. I taught courses in the past, and I told people, there's only so much money to go around. There's only so much supply. So get it while you can. That was not the truth. There's more than enough supply. Because in the Lord's Prayer, it says, give us this day our daily bread. Now, the secret is not to ask more than your daily bread. What do you need in this moment? In the now moment. And then it will be provided to you. I believe that with all my heart. So let's just go through the idea that there is a law that governs the manifestation of supply. And kind of how does that law work? As it says here, humankind, and this is Charles Fillmore, is the inlet and outlet of divine consciousness. It is the law of cause and effect. He says this is the foundation to the law that governs the manifestation of supply. That as we go within, and we have to go within, we then can allow ourselves to fix ourselves, if you would, on the divine within ourselves. To understand that that divine has energy, that divine has strength, that divine has power. And it's all within us, and it works through us. We have the ability to be wrapped up within each of us a great richness of thoughts. They're there. They're there for the taking. You don't have to do much about it. It's just there. All of you are thinking all the time. We all are thinking all the time. Except maybe when we're sleeping, and I don't know about you, but I think when I'm sleeping. Because I dream. And sometimes I remember the dreams. Most often I don't. But I know that I am thinking during that process. And you see, sometimes what happens is that we have these richness of thoughts, these richness of ideas, and they become prisoners within us in the subconscious mind. We aren't willing to release them. We aren't willing to do the work necessary to bring them up because that's where everything exists. There was a fellow who went to get a loan. And this was back in the 70s. Eric Butterworth talked about it in his book, Spiritual Economics. And he said the fellow went in and a banker interviewed him. Now, this is a different world back then. Bankers actually interviewed you, and if they liked you and trusted you, it had something to do with whether they give you a loan. And anyway, this guy, they talked together, and the banker asked him some questions. Had nothing to do with the loan, but how he felt about what he was going to do with the money, why he thought it would be successful. And after about 20 minutes, the banker stood up, walked over, shook his hand, and said the $50,000 is yours. And the reason is because you have the right spirit. You and I are created so that we have already the right spirit, so that we can reach within ourselves and bring out those thoughts, those ideas that are embedded within us. They are a gift to us. They are part of who we are. We can't not have them because God is not only a divine mind, but is also a divine idea and reveals that divine idea through you and through me. The second law that has to do with looking at the overall law of manifestation is the law of visualization. Don't believe what you see what you believe. If you can do that, and you can, it will make a huge difference in your life. You know, one of the things that helps us in visualizing how what we think about comes about is that most of us can spend some time worrying. A few don't, but most people spend time worrying. And if you look at what you worry about, I'm not talking about something that just comes up and you go, that bothers me a little bit. I'm talking about something you really worry about, that you carry with you, that when you go to bed at night you might even dream about, that you are aware of as a concern and something that you may be fearful of or something you're apathetic to. And so what happens is that you and I, as we understand that, we start to believe in what we see or what we hear. When I was in business, I was in the financial business, and this was my attitude for all the years, 30 years I was in that business, is that if the market goes down, our company's going to really do well because we sell insurance products which have guarantees to them. And people will be looking for that. And if the market goes up, then we're going to do great because we're also in the equity business where we sell stocks and where we sell mutual funds. And so when the market's up, everybody wants to buy that and not as interested in the guaranteed products. So I always felt like we were always in the midst of prosperity, all available to us. And that's what I shared and taught with the sales force because I knew how prosperity worked. I understood it. I did not, at that time, understand it from a spiritual standpoint, but I learned to. So we don't believe what we see. Instead, we see what we believe. And as we do that, we start to grow in our prosperity consciousness. we are then able to visualize what it is that we want. Now, there's two ways to do that. Number one is to be in the human condition, to be of mortal mind, and to visualize what you want based on what others think you want or what you feel like you want just because your ego is feeding you. That's one way. And that's the way I did it for years. There's another way where what you do is you allow yourself to go within. You become comfortable with your relationship with the divine. You are willing to step into that relationship and trust that relationship to the point that you understand and know it will bring you your highest desire. We are created that way. We are built that way. And so as it brings into us our highest desire, we're able to visualize and see what we want. We're able to understand what it is we're looking for. The third point is that prosperity and lack consciousness comes from the same source, you. You have a choice. I have a choice. Sometimes I can have that lack consciousness because of past experiences or something I remember. But I hope where I've gotten to, and I can't guarantee you, this is where I think I am, and I know that many of you are because I've talked to you, is that we get to the point where that consciousness is seldom controlling our lives. That worry is not something we allow to control our lives. Now, it's good to have some sense of responsibility, but that's not worrying. That's just being a good spiritual being in the human condition. And so as we step into this idea and this thought that consciousness comes from me, that means I have a choice and you have a choice. And so what it looks like is that we either have mortal mind that guides and directs us, and it can sometimes, or we have spiritual or divine mind which guides and directs us. And when we put our trust in divine mind, this is all I know from my experience, is I am more comfortable with myself. I'm less anxious about what it is I'm trying to achieve. Somebody said, what are you going to do after ministry? I said, I have no idea right now, but I'm working on it. And I know that Spirit will guide me and direct me to find that right and perfect place where I can still serve people and God, and they're one and the same. And so we each have that choice. Jesus said in Matthew 6:3, seek you first the kingdom of heavens. What does that mean? The ideas within you, the hopes within you, the desires within you. Seek those first. And when you find those hopes, when you find those desires, when you become understanding of who and what you are, then you are able to literally find all the things that you need. Seek you first the kingdom of heavens and his righteousness, and all these things will be yours as well. You know, Moses said, thou shalt not. Moses was actually, and he was a great leader, and he was needed at the time in the way in which he came about, but he actually was more of a negative thinker than a positive thinker. The reason he didn't go into the promised land is because he couldn't see the promised land. Look at it that way of his life. He just couldn't envision it. And so he died before the children of Israel went into the promised land. And what you and I need to do is be able to envision the promised land, to understand that when we turn everything over to Spirit, when we turn everything over to the Christ within, when we turn everything over to Spirit within, that we cannot and will not get the wrong answers. We will get guidance. And sometimes that guidance might be 2 or 3 different ideas that seem to be in conflict. But if you start to look at it and say, how do they come together? How do I take these ideas and create them so they now become more than just one idea? They become a bigger idea. It's then that you are able to come up with the right and perfect solution for you. This is what that's all about, coming up with the right and perfect solution for you. So Jesus, while Moses said, thou shalt not, Jesus said, I have come to fulfill the law. Moses said, I have come to create the law. That's what I mean by the difference. And so Jesus says to each of us that we are able to fulfill the law if we will follow his guidance. And he said, if you follow my guidance, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to do greater things than I can do. Now, some people, and I certainly, when I was a Baptist and a Presbyterian, questioned that particular phrase. How can I do greater than Jesus? I've never performed a miracle. Well, you know what happened? Is that each and every one of us can do more than Jesus did today in our consciousness because we have the internet, because we have access to each other through technology. I think that's what Jesus was talking about. He may not have pictured that, but that's what he was talking about. That you can do greater things than I do because you know more together, and that creates a powerful, powerful engine to bring about prosperity in your life. The fourth is the law of imagination, the power of imagination. We've heard many stories of imagination. There are two in particular that have impressed me over the years. One is I met the fellow when I lived in Virginia Beach. I've forgotten his name now, but I met him briefly. He was a war prisoner. He was in Vietnam, prisoner of war. And what he did while he was in prison for 7 years is every day in his mind he played a game of golf. He loved golf. And he would play it. And he had the Ocean View golf course, which he played often as that he could visualize and actually see the holes. And he said he would see hole number 1 and he'd see himself hitting the ball. Then he'd see the second shot. And he saw himself shooting par each and every day. And he'd never shot par in his life. But that's what he saw for 7 years. He came home. He played the Ocean View golf course. And he shot par. Had not been on a golf course, had not been to a driving range. He just went out and did what he saw in his mind. The other is something that Eric Butterworth talks about that happened many years ago. And this was a study of how powerful is the imagination. And so they took 3 groups of people. I think there were about 20 people in each group. And they said, put them together and they said, here's what we want you to do, is we want you to improve your ability to make basketball goals from the foul line, to make foul shots. And so here's what we want you to do, is 20 of you will go home and forget about it. I mean, you're pretty skilled. Just don't spend any time thinking about it. And then we're going to have you come back in 30 days. They had another group. And they said, now what we want you to do is you've got to practice an hour every day shooting foul lines, shooting foul shots. Every day. And so these guys did this for 30 days. Then they said to another group, we want you to go home and we want you to see yourself half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, shooting foul shots and making them all, one after another. See the form. See how your hand marks. See the ball going in the net. So they agreed they could do that. They all came back together 30 days later. Those who paid no attention to it played about as well as they'd played before, could make about the same number of foul shots as they did before. Those who practiced every day had a 24% increase in their skill level. And those who thought about it every day had a 23% increase in their skill level. Isn't that amazing? You know, the way I play golf right now, I know that I need to look at some visualization on golf, okay? I got some film at home. I'm going to start watching again of how to swing because whatever I'm doing right now isn't exactly what's on that video, okay? And I'm going to work on that. So these things are powerful, the way in which we can manage our imagination. Victor Hugo said, "Greater than the tread of mighty armies is an idea whose time has come." Ideas are powerful. Your ideas are powerful. Step into your ideas. Step into your dreams. Step into your opportunities. Thomas Troward said, "Having seen and felt the end, you have willed the means to the realization of the end." In other words, if you can visualize something all the way to the end, stick with that, stay with that, that eventually that will become true, that will manifest in your life. The question is always, what is it that I want to manifest? And why do I want to manifest it? And I would suggest to use the power of imagination in the most positive way, that we allow ourselves to imagine that which is not only good for ourselves, but serves others. You know, I thought I had it here, but I don't. Oh, yeah, I do. Wayne Dyer has a statement he made. When you are able to shift your inner awareness to how you can serve others, and when you make this the central focus of your life, you will then be in a position to know true miracles in your progress towards prosperity. So we can't keep it all to ourselves. We have to share. And I think today we have a responsibility. There are people who cannot, for whatever reasons, envision themselves as prosperous. There are people who need to learn how to do that. And you and I, because we know how to do that, need to share that with people. Those willing to listen, those who want a better way of being, a better life, better opportunities. I believe that what Wayne Dyer is saying is share your prosperity and your prosperity consciousness with others who may not have the same level. Give, in other words, to them what you know, and then their prosperity may open up for them. There is an affirmation that says, "I trust omnipotence. I refuse to be anxious about tomorrow or even the next day. I know that God does provide for the fulfillment of his divine idea, and I am that divine idea." Say this: I trust omnipotence. Together? Okay, and then I refuse to be anxious about tomorrow. I know that God provides for the fulfillment of the divine ideas. And I am that divine idea. Thank you. And so as we move forward, we start to understand that we can trust universal law, the universal law of prosperity in all my affairs. Go within. As you go within, begin to visualize and see what you believe, not what you believe in, particularly. See what you believe within yourself, and you will bring that out, and you will manifest that. Understand that you have a choice. The prosperity is yours, and you have a choice to either have a lack consciousness in a given situation or prosperity consciousness. And we can choose that if we'll stop and just ask ourselves, where am I? And the difference is, when I am apathetic, when I am filled with fear, I am a lack consciousness. I don't care what's going on. I'm in a lack consciousness. If I fear that I might lose what I have, I'm in a lack consciousness. Or we can be in a consciousness of prosperity, which says, I can be patient. I can stand in my knowledge knowing that what will come for me is for my good. And I have the ability to visualize that, to see that, to feel that, to experience that in my mind's eye. And then I know, with patience, it will come about, and I will experience the prosperity in my life. Sometimes that prosperity is all around you. You are the prosperity, but we might not recognize it. So step into the idea that you are filled with divine ideas, and you are that divine idea of the Most High. Thank you. And so now at this time, Barbara Hess will lead us in meditation. Barbara?
Now close your eyes, allowing yourself to settle in your seat, allowing your body to sit in an easy, upright position, turning your attention inward to the space within, the space between your thoughts, the pause between your breaths. And in this space, you're resting in your own divine essence, the I am. I am that divine idea. While resting in the I am, allow your mind to settle in your heart. I trust omnipotence. I live in the present moment, feeling and being the source of omnipotence. This space of peace and knowingness relieves any anxiety I may feel about tomorrow or even the minute. God provides for the fulfillment of divine ideas. I am that divine idea. I am that divine idea. I trust the universal law of prosperity in all my affairs. And now, as I direct my mind inside, experiencing this universal truth, I step forward, allowing this truth to manifest in my thoughts, words, and actions. Settling in, settling back. Nowhere to be, no place to go, except within. I am that divine idea. And now take a nice long in breath with another out breath. And continue affirming, I am that divine idea. I am that divine idea. I trust omnipotence. I trust the universal law of prosperity in all my affairs. And take another breath, resting in this truth. And taking another long, slow in-breath with a nice, easy emptying. And as you slowly open in your eyes, noticing if you feel any different than compared to earlier. And so it is. And now is always a special time of the service to thank everyone. Thank the audio-visual team in the back who has done so much to allow this to be live streamed as well as to take care of all of us that are here. Thank you for our wonderful music team for all that you give and bring. Thank you for Patrick, who has also helped us with all of the filming. I want to thank Richard for always giving us such a prosperous message full of ideas and allowing us to be that divine idea. And thank everyone for being here and for all that you do for this community. And so now it comes time for our prosperity blessing. And we will say this together. There's a place that you can give love offerings here, and you can also donate online or donate through the webpage. So let's say our prosperity blessing together, please. Divine love expressing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give, all that I receive. I am grateful. Thank you.
Thank you again, Richard. There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. For the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under its loving embrace. Just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. Let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. find you. To all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean, that's the reason. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean, it's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find you. To all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean, that's the reason.
And thank you once again for that. And then you'll see on the page there is a way that you can also give by texting 77977. Text to give, and it's available on your texting, on your phone. And now we want to bless these gifts. So everyone say this out loud together, please. We give thanks for the gifts that will support our mission of creating a spiritually awakened world. And so it is. And now let's all join together for our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.